I've brought you live again in my garden because the birds are starting to come back in again. Just had several rooks in. Hi Laura, thanks for watching. Just brought you live into my garden as the birds are coming in to feed for the evening. There's, if you can just see through the railings, starling, a couple of house sparrows. There's a blackbird singing. There were just 4 rooks in the garden, but of course, just as I went live, they went out. That post at the end of the balcony, just there, at the end of the banister, the one just behind it, about half an hour ago, a sparrowhawk flew into the garden, tried to catch a bird, missed it, and landed on that post and just looked at me, and I looked at it. There was no time to do anything like take a photograph because it went within a few seconds. But I think it was surprised to see me here. It's got several starlings in the garden right now. There's a rook flying through. Starlings are a bit flighty at the moment. I think because that sparrowhawk was around, it's made them nervous. That shrub to the right of the garden there is really useful for them. They can dive into it really easily and gain cover. So any sort of danger, they shoot in there. I've had 2 red kites flying over. They were soaring a little while ago together, just round and round. And it was interesting watching the... oh, hi Gustavo. It was interesting watching the starlings watching the red kites. They would turn their heads to one side and look up at the sky. They didn't seem terribly worried about them. They were just very watchful. But the sparrowhawk that turned up was obviously a big problem. In fact, I'm just wondering if there's a red kite up there now, because that starling that's out on the branch, it's come out of the shrub now, and it was looking up at the sky. So as they feel safe, they'll start to emerge from the shrub. And if they're still a bit worried, they'll fly away quickly. They're all looking up, so there's obviously something. It might be above the house for me. Hi Mike, thanks for watching. I've just brought people live into my garden for the evening rush on food. There were just 4 rooks in the garden, and another one just... Is he gonna... Oh, I didn't know if he was going to stop at the roof. If it's my friend rook, it will fly in, but it won't. It's always a bit nervous about me being out in the garden, but it will come nearby. The starlings are all being very watchful. No, something's upset them. Then again, a couple more have turned up. Sorry that I'm shooting into the sun on that angle. There's a rook up on next door's roof. See if he comes into the garden. So at the moment, the food that I've got out, I've got some sunflower hearts in feeders, but really it's only the goldfinches that are eating those at the moment. So there's a rook. It's just landed up there. That could be rooksy. I'm not sure. I'm never sure unless it comes into the garden. I don't know if that is rooksy because it's being a bit nervous. Over under the acer there, I've got a feeder with some dried mealworms in, and the starlings can go there. They can get the mealworms out of the mesh, but also they tend to drop several, so it means that several birds can feed at once. So that rook has just come down from the from the roof, and it's on our back fence. And it's going to go into the lilac for the suet feeder. And that's brought some more down. As soon as one comes in and is brave enough, it encourages others. So there's a jackdaw on the back fence, 3 rooks, and another rook potentially will come in from the roof. So they will wait for the first rook to knock suet out as it's eating, and then they'll pick up all the suet that's dropped. So everyone gets some. I've also got seed out on the ground feeding trays, and some soaked dried mealworms are out as well. So that should be okay for the starlings. In this feeder ahead of me, I've layered suet pellets and mealworms, and it's a handy way to sort of provide food during the day. It doesn't get eaten all very quickly, but the rooks can stand on tiptoe and reach that. I think there's one, the rook in the tree, is not quite sure how to get to the suet feeder. Some have got their techniques down pat and others aren't quite so sure. The blackbird's a little bit upset with me because I've stopped giving fresh mealworms because I'm running out, and I want to have some for the morning. It's had about 5 or 6 loads, so it's done all right. It's been a gorgeous day. I was working indoors most of the morning, and then a couple of goldfinches flying over. I was working inside most of the morning, and then thought I should really come out and enjoy the sunlight. So I brought my work out here, but then I kept going live, so I haven't actually done very much. So I need to crack on with that in a minute. I had 2 red kites circling, and I mentioned earlier that about half an hour ago a sparrowhawk turned up in the garden. Didn't catch anything this time, but it landed on the second post where you can see the plastic feeder. It landed there and just looked at me, and I looked at it, and I was obviously bigger, so it went away. Those rooks at the end of the garden are displaying. I don't know if you can see that. There's a bit of dominance being taken, showing there. I've noticed what the rooks do is try to land on top of another rook, and if it does that, it forces the first rook out of the way, and that's how they do it. They come in from above. What's all happening now? So I've got jackdaw that's just come in for some suet pellets. There's a whole load of starlings and 3 rooks, with another 4 up on the roof up there. This jackdaw has realised that there's dried worms to be had from what the starling on the feeder is dropping. So Facebook reminded me this morning that it was 7 years ago that my first rook came into the garden, and it was a really unusual sight at that point, and now I have them coming every day, which I'm very happy about, especially having Rooksy, my rook friend, who's so much of a friend that I can't recognise it unless it comes and sits on the banister. You might be able to hear that That starling in the background. There's a rook sitting on top of the conifer there, just peeking over the top, keeping guard. Got the jackdaw in the garden still. So today I've had mainly starlings. Did I mention that's a starling calling? Doing all this little song there. I should have put my voice, I've got my voice recorder on the wall there. I should have turned it on. These jackdaws are so handsome. Their lovely black crown and pale eyes. So I mentioned before, this is the smallest member of the corvid family that we have here, or the crow family. Starlings are looking up into the sky, so sorry about that. I was looking up to see what the starling was looking at. I'm wondering if the red kites are up there. Oh, that rook has got, when it flew, its feather was stuck out at a strange angle. Yeah, I think it's got a broken feather in its wing. Starlings have decided to go and have a bathe, I think. They do like that water bath over there. Although I had my water feature on today, and I thought that might encourage them in to come and have a bath with the shower. Once one starts flapping around, it encourages more to come in, and you'll end up with a whole group of them, like you can see there. Oh, is that going to be 5 in there? I kept wondering why the water was going down so quickly in that water bath, and I think we can see why. The starling, oh, he was on the patio. 2 jackdaws now. And how many rooks have we got? Oh, there's 3 jackdaws because there's still one over by the feeder. 4 jackdaws because a 4th one has just landed in the tree. So we've got 4 jackdaws, 5 rooks. 1, 2. Oh, there they all go. Just take something to give them a freak and they'll go. That one that's on the post right now that's being, oh, he's just flown off. He's got an overgrown top mandible. So he's got a very long hooked beak, and the bottom mandible is broken. But he looks in really good condition, so he's able to preen, he's able to eat. So he's obviously managing. It's just that he has to turn his head to one side to pick food up from the ground. We'll know if Rooksy comes, because I think Rooksy will come closer. Unfortunately, I've only got one lot of suet block out at the moment, so it's likely that there'll be some tussles about who gets to eat it. But there's plenty of suet pellets around the garden if they want to eat that. At the moment, the starling is making use of most of the suet pellets and dried mealworms up on the bird table. So we've got, a bit of displaying going on that back fence. If you see, they drop their leg feathers and puff themselves up, try to land on top of each other. little shows of dominance. Interestingly, they look like they're more worried about that at the moment than they are about coming to get the suet. That water bath at the end that you just saw the rook drink from, that's one of the deeper ones, and wood pigeons really like that. The magpies love that one, go in it and have a really good splash. I've never seen a rook bathe. I've seen them drink from it, but only since this breeding season started. They didn't used to drink from it at all. But I've never seen a rook bathe. So I guess they do, but they don't do it in my garden. So on the deck at the moment, it's a little bit bright because of the sun. I've got a ground feeding tray with mealworms in that, live mealworms in the little pot, and a cage around it so only the smaller birds can get in. There's plenty going on in the garden, but I'm guessing it just takes one little thing that will scare them and then they'll all clear off out of it as one big swoop. And I learned something this week that that could be Rooksy. It was coming quite close. I've been saying up till now about them gathering food in their crop to take away, but it's not the crop, because I saw the sparrowhawk after it had fed the other day. You could really see the crop had expanded, and that was low down in the chest, and it made me realise, we've got some little chappies on the patio here, it made me realise, of course, that it's not the crop at all. The crop is I looked into it further, and the crop is an extension of the esophagus, so it's actually, what the rooks have is an expandable throat. I'm going to get the name wrong. I think it's a gular, I think it must be gular or gular sac, but basically it's the throat area can expand a bit like a pelican, or what else has it? I just noticed there's a house sparrow right down here having a drink. So all this time I've been calling it a crop, and I really ought to have been calling it an expandable throat pouch, since I don't know how to pronounce Gular. I think it must be gular, but it could be galar. And maybe one of you can tell me, because I'm sure I've got more knowledgeable people in the group than me. Now that starling is looking up at the sky a bit. I was just wondering what he might be looking at. Can't see anything other than rooks. But yeah, so I'll have to correct that in my next episode. A magpie is just on the back fence, and that will upset the starlings. You might hear an alarm call go up when they realise he's there. Let's see if he's going to go and threaten the wood pigeon. He seems to know that there's mealworms around. That wood pigeon's a bit wary. Don't point your tail at the magpie. The magpie will pull your tail. Yes, there's a bit of a problem when you only have one feeder with any suet. I'm just getting through suet blocks at a rate of knots at the moment, so I'm limiting what's out, but of course it then brings in a concentration to the one feeder. They don't have to all be there because there are some more suet blocks, suet pellets in the garden, but it's a bit hard to reason with them. Generally they're not too bad about me being out here. They've got quite used to me and just treat me like a bit of furniture. Most of them keep their distance, and then if Rooksy comes a bit closer, it then encourages others to. But if Rooksy's not here, then that won't happen. Yeah, so I can't see if anyone's making any comments. I'll address them afterwards. This app doesn't really help me out. If I press the comments bit, it allows me to write a comment, but I can't see if anyone else has written any. Let's hope. Got some nice flybys by rooks, but I'm sure if I spin the camera up, oops, there's an alarm call gone up. All of the starlings have just flown off. The blue tit gave out an alarm as well. So I don't know whether a sparrowhawk had been sighted. You'll have noticed that the smaller birds don't seem that worried about the rooks. And in fact, I was watching the other day and had a house sparrow standing next to the rook, and the house sparrow was probably about as big as the rook's bill and head put together, and it's really shocking to see the size differences of the birds. So there they go, fighting in the lilac tree again. I'm guessing a lot of these rooks have got young, so I don't think it'll be very long before they start bringing them in once they left the nest, and it'll start getting very noisy in the mornings. Aha, that rook has managed to get a big lump of suet, so he's happy. Yeah, they're all a bit not sure what to do. There's a little bit of suet left. And there's some tussles going on. But at least there's some activity in the garden. So if Rooksy comes, then that might go to the bird table, because that's still about 8 feet, 10 feet from me, so it's still far enough away for it to feel comfortable, I think. And they could come to this feeder in front of me here. They can also stand on the wall and reach forward and get suet pellets from it. Well, I'm sorry I can't see. Oh, hi Stuart, thanks for watching. I'm sorry that I can't see if there's any comments, so I can't answer any questions. So I've just mainly got rooks and jackdaw in the garden at the moment. Oh, and the wood pigeon. So the rooks are eating a suet block that's in a feeder, but they've been getting through so much suet that I've had to limit what I put out, and unfortunately it means that they all try to go to the same feeder at once. I got distracted then because I could hear the starlings flying over with a... Yeah, they're not happy about something. And now I think there might be a red kite around, because that rook was calling out as well. It was like he wasn't sure whether to take off or not. The jackdaw has made it... Oh, I was going to say the jackdaw's made it onto the suet feeder, but just as I zoomed in, it came off. I'll just have one look around to see if there is a red kite around. Blackbird singing out the front of the house. I can hear it echoing around. And this female blackbird that I've been giving mealworms to, so it's come back to look for some more, but I've got hardly any left now, so I'm having to eke them out. Hopefully she'll find some of the dried ones that have been soaked and have those instead. So the rooks are all coming back in again, but oh no, that's it. Scared them. Okay then, I'll better go in and do some work, seeing as I've been sitting out here all afternoon. I think the blackbird thought that I was talking to her. She came rushing over. I'm sorry, I haven't got any. I'm getting a new delivery tomorrow, so you can have some fresh ones then. Alright, thanks ever so much everyone for watching, and hope you're having a lovely evening. See you soon.